Okay, now's the fun part. You get to go over the core culture report with your client and their family. I want to remind you before we begin what your role is in this meeting with them. Remember, you are not their therapist and you're not here to fix all of their problems. You are here sharing feedback that the family themselves has shared with you. And so you might even take a moment to joke about with them, to say, hey, I'm not your therapist and I don't play one on TV and I'm not pretending to be one here. But I am here to help you talk about your family's culture. I'm here to share with you the report, the results that you shared in these surveys, and we're here to talk about it. And I'm going to help you talk about your family's unique culture, both ways that it's strong and wonderful and ways that you might want to make it be a little bit more reflective of who you want to be as a family. As you begin the family meeting, remind the family themselves about why this survey is helpful. Remind them that every family has a culture. Every organization has a culture. And cultures are based on communication, cohesion, identity, and impact. Remind them also that they are affected by their culture, but they also directly affect it. Sometimes it's easy to say, well, it's not my fault, everybody else. Nope, we all affect our culture and are affected by it, including families. One of the things I think is really important for this report in particular, I don't like when families look at the graphs and say, oh, this is our report card grade. We're getting an A or we're getting a C in communication. Rather, this is a temperature gauge. Culture changes all the time. It's always in flux. We're always having different areas of strengths and weaknesses, and we need to continue to pour into those areas. So remind them that this is simply how they're doing right now. And it's a way to show them what areas are we doing really well in and what areas might we want to focus so that our culture really reflects who we want to be as a family. As you look at the cover page, you'll see the 4 graphs. They are ranked from 5 to 25 in each of these areas, 5 being low, 25 being high. As you look at all 4 areas, you're going to want to note similarities. Perhaps you say, you guys all scored really high in cohesion. In fact, it was the highest for each member of your family. Why do you think that is? What makes your family so connected? That'll be a great conversation. Also have the courage to bring up the discrepancies. Under communication, Dad ranked you low, Mom ranked super high, and the kids were somewhere in between. What about your family's communication style is causing this difference of opinion? Again, you're not providing counseling, you're not solving the problem, you're asking questions. And as you model good question asking and good listening, hopefully they will do the same. And remember, those very next pages have the questions that the families themselves can take and use later. So there's 4 questions on communication that they can sit down around the dinner table and say, how can I communicate better? How can I show I'm listening better? What is it that you might want to share with me that you haven't had the courage to do so? Again, you're providing the resources, the family's doing the work. This will also be a moment for you to say, hey, I noticed this discrepancy. Here's a resource I have. Here's a book I've read that has been really helpful. Here's a podcast you might want to try. This is the time to share those resources that you already have. As you focus on these 4 pillars of culture with the client, remind them that there are definitions on the following pages so they know exactly what we're talking about. There's those follow-up questions. But we also provide a worksheet for families. We're calling it a SWOT worksheet for their culture. What are the areas of strength? What are the areas of weakness? What are the opportunities to build into your family culture? And what are some threats that are making our culture a little bit weaker than we want it to be? Again, you are not going to walk through that with them. You're going to provide that tool to them so that they themselves can pour into their culture. Before we leave, I want to give you a homework assignment. Share this core culture survey and report either with your own family or with a family that you know really well, and then practice going through it with them. We know this one can be a bit intimidating, and so the more you practice, the more you see your job is simply to validate, to tell the family that having areas of weakness or areas to work on in a culture is normal, and then to provide the resources that you already have to help the family work on the family culture.